Your first
Yeah,
slide.
we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, all right. Here we go. So talk us through what this is about to show us.
Yeah, so what we do is we take off-the-shelf technologies, simple technologies like mobile phones, tablets. What we do is create software that then repurposes them so that they're tools for small manufacturers to track what they're doing in the factory. So a bit of context, Industry 4, huge market for technology at the moment in manufacturing, expected to create something like 230 billion by 2023. But most of those technologies are focused on the 1% of manufacturers that are large. We're focusing on the 99%, which are SMEs. Mm-hmm. And at the moment, there's not really much out for them. So we're trying to plug that gap using simple
So you're
tech.
using commercial, freely available, cheap technologies to allow small or medium-sized engineering companies, manufacturing companies to automate their processes?
Yeah. So at the heart of it is we've got a mobile app which uses contactless technology to track manufacturing processes. So typically in a factory you'd have a series of pieces of paper that follow an order around, and there'd be a checklist saying I've done this, I've done that. But that's obviously very, very slow to get that information back to the guys running the factory. We've just turned it into an app which then obviously spits out the data live to live work in progress, which is what's on the screen there. So they could be on the train down to London, or they could be on a flight and still be able to see everything that's going on in their factory. Okay. And it's completely plug and play.
So that phone would be moving around the factory?
Or on a
workstation?
Yeah, so it could be on a workstation, it could be on each person, but effectively people log in using an ID card and then tap. Instead of having 3 or 4 pieces of paper, they just have one NFC card. They tap and it will open up all the docket's information.
Okay, on their phone?
Yeah.
And then there's a desktop
just
version
through
of it,
Element.
the aggregated data, and you can drill down in it. And
so it's like a dashboard that's available through Elements.technology. So that's why it's so portable in terms of being able to get it anywhere. Is as long as you've got Google Chrome, you can log into it and see all the information.
Okay, cool. You know your slides better than I do.
Yeah.
So tell me when you want to move on.
No, we can crack on if you want.
Okay. Oh, go this way. No, there we go.
Yeah, so in terms of where the idea came from, so I was previously working in wearable tech. So I worked for a Sri Lankan garment manufacturer in their innovation department, primarily on wearable tech, but a few other things. So we were playing around with various technologies, including NFC, and I was wondering whether there was more scope in other industries. So we were working with people like Nike, Puma, Speedo, people like that, and I was wondering whether the wearables could be used to track worker movements, things like that in high-value manufacturing. So whilst towards the end of my contract there, I started doing factory visits, so went to Lango Rourke in Worksop, went to Bentley in Crewe, and started coming up with the idea of using simple technologies to create simple and cheap solutions that small manufacturers could use. Mm-hmm. So it started the company last January as using NFC, where you have it on a drill, for example.
January this year or
last year? Last
year,
yeah. So last January, it started with the idea that you'd have an app and you'd have NFC stickers. You put them on equipment, and when you tap that piece of equipment, it's going to tell you health and safety information specific to that device. But what it'd also do is then say that that user is using that device to perform that task. So you create this picture of what's going on in the factory without much interaction. I then went to Rolls-Royce Hack and Pitch and won that by basically saying, using this technology, we could track an order. Rather than focusing on health and safety, let's track orders. So that was our first big pivot. And I've got the other 3 later on in the presentation.
Okay, so when you say track orders, you mean so that clients can track orders through the factory in real time because they can see...
So the idea presented at the time was that they got like a 70% failure rate on certain parts. So they were looking at ways to reduce that. So I said, lean optimization, split it down, do little tests every so often. But then because you've got that data from each of those segments, you can then run correlations to identify when there's an issue, it's because of this, this, and this. Okay. So you can then learn from that data you're capturing. And the way you capture that data is using the tech that I was proposing at the time. Okay. It was still completely and utterly in my head. Yeah. No prototypes.
But was that prior to January last year? Or
No. So this was about 2 months after I started that I went, and it was just me and my ideas.
You were pitching the idea at that point?
Yeah, very much so.
Okay.
So in about May time, I went to like a milestones and road mapping course and realised I needed a technical co-founder. So I got my friend who I'd met a few years previously, Pete, who's like absolute genius. He's not here today, but so his background was doing predictive crime analysis with Greater Manchester Police. He'd done software programs to detect motor neurone disease. He'd done autoimmune systems for ATMs, boffin. So I got him involved, and then we started the bit of the journey. So first of all, obviously we did stuff with Rolls-Royce and Digital Catapult. Then we kind of got involved with the AMRC, and then we got investment around November, I think it was. Moved over to Sheffield Technology Parks, which has been awesome. Then got involved with Sheffield Digital, and we've got involved with Made in Sheffield, and just really embraced the Sheffield ecosystem, really.
Yeah.
But then
is that why you're in Sheffield, or are you from Sheffield, or
I'm from Burton near Derby.
Yeah.
So I still drive an hour to get here each day.
Oh wow!
I only come in twice a week. It's
Yeah.
fun. But yeah, we brought on some really, really good staff, and yeah, it's accelerated really.
Yeah.
But we've tried really hard to, if we need something, we'll look inside Sheffield Tech Park, see if we've got the abilities there.
Yeah.
Normally have. And then if we don't, we'll look outside into Sheffield.
So that's really interesting that you're here in the middle of Sheffield, though. I mean, obviously you can be in, but Sheffield's a great place to do this kind of technology, I guess, because of its engineering.
Well, we moved because of the investment. So the investment's through Northern Powerhouse. Okay. So it required that we were in Sheffield because we were actually based Manchester, Chester way before.
All right.
But we were required to move this side. And then obviously it's worked out perfectly because we've got the AMRC on the doorstep. Yeah. You've got the industrial heritage of Sheffield. And now we're
a big SME base.
Yeah, massive. Clients. Yeah, so the amount of support we get is brilliant, and we're really embracing it. That it's the best place for us to be by a mile. And now we're trying to drive this ecosystem of digital manufacturing around here because it makes sense that Sheffield's a place to do it more than anywhere else in the UK. So we're on a journey.
Yeah. Yes. Speaking of which.
Wow, timed that well. Didn't I? I didn't even realise. So as I mentioned, we had 4 main pivots. So the first one was the hack and pitch, which went from being health and safety to more order focused. We then met with somebody who said, why are you targeting the big guys like Rolls-Royce and Boeing? Why don't you look at SMEs? Did the market research. Yeah, made perfect sense. Then we were told that we can't just provide software, you need to provide everything. So we're like, we need a full stack solution. And then finally, because we're kind of, the costs are about the same price as like consumer technologies. Yeah. So why would you go down the standard enterprise route of loads of demos, really, really like request a callback and all that, when actually you can get started for 250 quid. We can sell it like an iPhone. Turns out that manufacturers don't do that. So we pivoted and went, you know what, this isn't working. Let's go down a more direct sales route.
Right. So you packaged it up into something that you could buy off the shelf.
Yeah, and you
like
still
a starter
can.
Pack.
Yeah, exactly. Which I've got in my bag. I should have brought it on stage.
Yeah. Show people afterwards.
And yeah, so the idea is that people can try it out.
Yeah.
And hopefully we'll go down more of a marketing-based strategy in the future once we've got the exposure. Yeah. But we've realised that people need to get their hands on it, and we need to go and visit factories. And that's worked. It's working a lot better. So
that fits more into their usual procurement models.
Exactly. Yeah.
Dealing with salespeople and being pitched.
It's that idea of just being agile, isn't it?
Yeah.
You've got to just follow what is working. What if something isn't working, just change. So that's what we've done. And it's just that standard lean startup model of once we started creating the products, we've had a beta test that's been ongoing for about 6-7 months. We just didn't ever end it because we're learning so much from them. Why would we stop?
Yeah.
So luckily, a couple of them are now converting to being full customers, which is great. And just going down that route.
Right. So tell me about that full stack part of it then. So what is it on top of what we've kind of saw in the first slide?
So originally the idea was that we'd have the software. So we'd build the software and they'd go away and buy the phones and they'd buy the NFC and they'd buy everything they needed.
Right, okay.
But then we were told that actually manufacturers don't want to do that. What they want is you to give them everything they need and they can just get going with it. And
even if it's more expensive?
Yeah, but yes, yeah. Ultimately, like I was at University of Cambridge on Tuesday and they're doing something where they use Raspberry Pis and they use open source software, and that's very cheap. but actually the implementation is going to be more expensive because you'll need the skills. Whereas if you spend more money on the tech and it's easier to implement, the actual overall cost is reduced. Because actually the time is the big thing for manufacturers. Like for a 10-man metal fabrication shop, that every single person there is like, their job is like 9 till 5 and they don't have any time spare.
Yes, so we've had over 100 years of time and motion studies.
So
to make everything really
efficient. It's not like one of the OEMs where they can just put a team of like apprentices on it.
Okay, well, this is all really good knowledge that you're gathering. No, it's not over at all. So just to talk about what the impacts are and what you're able to...
Like earlier this year, we started pitching it as a productivity solution. So the idea is that by using our system, you reduce and remove the non-value added tasks. So even simple things like writing down that you performed a task with the date and doing your signature, well, we just simplify that by tapping your card. And all those kind of little taps add up across the year. But what it also does is it removes any of those, is that an 8 or a 3, and we'll just find out. One thing that we didn't realise was going to be a benefit was, because we started with it being all about the shop floor, and then it grew out to being all about the managers, like the main stakeholders. And then as soon as we gave it to people, they said, well, actually, our sales team are benefiting from it, because they can instantly look and see where an order is if somebody calls them up.
Right, so it's actually saving them as much time as it is the shop
exactly.
floor.
So the customer service improves, which led to a feature I've not mentioned here at all, where we created something similar to what Hermes and DPD do, and create a tracking code.
Okay.
So when you start an order, you can send an email to your customer, and they'll be able to track where the order's up to, so you don't even get that phone call.
So that's a big value-added service.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Even the big boys don't provide.
Exactly. Nobody provides it. It's like genuinely a world first, as far as we know. No other technology provides that. So it's MVP at the moment. So we're trying to work out how best to kind of evolve it.
Yeah, great. Well, it's a great story, and we wish you all the best in the future.
Thank you very much.
It turns into something absolutely massive. But give it all up for Joe and Elements. Thanks.